So Leo, your week beginning the 27th of October suggests some very deeply emotional strands are playing out in your situation in the first half of this week. If we go back to the end of the first week of June, Jupiter, the planet of optimism, growth and expansion, but also of higher spiritual purpose, moved into a much more tender and reflective part of your scope. It's possible since then that you have done a degree of soul searching. If you've been working on any healing modality, becoming much more aware of what really makes you or others tick, you may not have felt that you were necessarily making some tangible progress. But this week Jupiter forges a brilliant link, not exact, but very close to being a trine with Saturn, which can be about limitation. And Saturn over the last year and a half broadly has not made life easy for the happy-go-lucky energy of Jupiter. So I think a lot of things can start to make sense for you this week, particularly around your home and family situation. Now that could be in terms of your physical home, so you might be making some changes, moving things around, remodeling things. You could even be actually moving altogether. But I feel that our true home lies within us. So whatever structure we are existing in, within that is our emotions. And that core of your being is what comes under the astral spotlight in a very powerful way in the first half of this week. But if you have felt that in terms of your deep connections to others, particularly over the last couple of years, that a lot of knowledge and information has been gained, you'll start to make sense of it in a very potent way in this first half of the week. But from the middle of the week, a much jollier, much more outgoing and playful part of your nature can really start to come out. Not least because of Mercury moving into your sister fire sign of Sagittarius, technically debilitated here, but forging an electric link to Uranus. You could hear from someone completely out of the blue, and that person may ask you to meet up with some friends, maybe a reunion, but getting together in a more jolly way in the second half of this week can be quite the complement for that inner work in the first half of the week. Now I think it's possible that some lions could be a little reluctant to re-enter the social fray, but if you can just push yourself a little bit, the connections you have, the things you share can be very heartfelt. And even if it is initially starting off as in some kind of frivolous and light-hearted way, actually the discussions and conversations you have can be heartrending, making you realise that the hard work you've been doing deep within yourself in understanding your connections, your needs, the needs of others, but also your practical, financial and emotional needs in terms of your long-term stability, all of those things can start to just fall into place in a very practical but helpful way.